Hello, my name is Mitch, and I do two things: draw Blood Force and talk about 30-year-old comics. And today we're going to be talking specifically about 30-year-old covers. If you're not sure what Blood Force is, this is Blood Force. Go open the description, click on the link there, go check out my Patreon if you want to learn more. But what we're doing is we're going to be checking out the top 10 image covers of 1993. Very specific, I know. So why 1993 specifically? Well, up till 1993 is the period I've spent the most time on so far. I didn't want to do 1992 specifically because the field is too small. Also, you've got all the launch number ones in there. So you've got guys like Rob kind of giving their best effort. And I don't want that. This is after they've settled in for the year. What do they got left? You know, what's most interesting now? And just to let you know, I'm going to be leaving out the 1963 issues because those came out in 1993, and those require a completely different set of criteria to judge. So, like, you know, I can't go comparing this to this. Not really. You know, completely different kind of composition, completely different kind of coloring. You know, it's trying to achieve a different thing. So, we're not going to be doing the 1963 ones. And I mean, like, stuff like this might beat just about everything in there. So it's a little too weird. So we're going to dive right into it. I've got a couple of honorable mentions I'm going to throw in there to, you know, kind of mix things up a little bit. Stormwatch number 1 doesn't quite make the list. I'll do that as the starting off honorable mention. It's a fine team shot. It's a little bit static, although they are all in action poses at least. And everything does kind of point towards Battalion there. It's a fine cover. It's not one of the more interesting ones of 1993. So, starting off with number 10, we have a Brigade comic. How is that possible? Well, this cover actually does have a couple of things going for it. For one, it's actually kind of a creative composition, which I don't believe I ever saw out of an Extreme book before. This is Cabot of Bloodstrike, of course, and Seahawk of Brigade. And, I mean, Cabot looks pretty good. He's actually, his proportions are not bad at all. And it's a dynamic-looking cover, and, of course, it is shiny as shit. And I was always a sucker for these when I was a kid. If I would have seen this in the store back then, I would have needed to have this comic, I think. For all of $370 for a Brigade cover. Yeesh. Anyway. Next up, number 9, we have Wildcats number 5. Wildcats number 5 is, of course, after Jim Lee comes back from his hiatus, or his sabbatical. There was a period of about 8 months there where Jim didn't draw any Wildcats. So he came back, and he had a bit of extra jump in his step. And this is the result, which is probably the best Wildcats cover we've gotten so far. It's, I'd say, probably the best one of 1993, but there's really only like 3 or 4 issues to choose from. Like I said, this is number 5. This is November. The one previous to this was number 4, which came out in March. But we get a full team shot. Pretty dynamic. Some good detail here. The only thing that really feels kind of tossed off is this robot thing in the front. Whatever that is. I don't even think they go into any kind of detail on what that is. But, yeah, like I said, for being the best Wildcats comic, I'll say, by Jim Lee, this one gets the number 9 spot. Okay, coming in at the number 8 spot, we have Spawn number 9. I was never a big McFarlane fan, I'll say. Like, there's the odd cover of his that I thought, oh, that one's pretty good. But this is, out of the first bunch, this is one of the few that actually you get any idea what it's about based on the cover. And it's a pretty good tease, actually. It's like, oh my god, that's not regular Spawn, that's another Spawn, and it's getting killed by this thing, whoever this is. And all these implements that she's got hanging off her, that's all great detail. No background to speak of, but, that's okay in this case. But, yeah, this is going to be the only Spawn issue on this list. Look at some of the other entries from earlier in the year. What issue is this? This is the one where Spawn has guns. How about this? Oh, right, the one where Spawn thinks he's Spider-Man. Okay, that one's self-explanatory. That one, if you read it recently, you might know. This one, at least we know what it is. Now, if only it was a good cover, that would qualify for what we were talking about. A little bit better, still not great. And there's that one as well. Whatever. This is like a classic Spawn cover where nothing's going on that has anything to do with the issue. There's also issues 14 and 15. I don't have those ones, but they're no better. So, Spawn number 9 for being the only Spawn with a good cover in 1993. First honorable mention. Doesn't make the list, but it is interesting, and I thought it was worth bringing up. Supreme number 2. Now, this is not, I think, technically a great cover in terms of, like, composition, that sort of thing. It is weird, though. Like, there is no other Extreme book looks like this. At least not at this time. But, like, I'm almost confident saying that about any time, really. Like, this is moody, like no Extreme book is. It's kind of gory. It's got this weird style that's line-heavy, where he's using lines like cross-hatching for shading. And, again, not necessary when you're the colorist, you know. Just draw, you know, put different colors there. But he is using that to actually an effect with the colors by doing all sorts of interesting highlights. Not necessarily the ones he did in the ink, though. Maybe he thought better of it when he got to the colors. Anyway, yeah, no, I remember seeing this and being like, whoa, that is intense. Like, that is just a different look than you were used to seeing from Image in 1993. Just worth mentioning. Coming in at number 7, we have Stormwatch number 6. Now, you might be thinking and going, wait a minute, this beat out Spawn number 9? Yes. I'm going to say it did, because this to me generates more interest. I remember seeing this ad every once in a while and being like, oh shit, is Stormwatch cool again? Like, you know, because it's a standard kind of action pose. It's kind of like the Stormwatch 1 cover, only more intense with all these speed lines here. The, whatever this electricity effect is around Battalion, I guess that's his power. You get the heavy, heavy shadows. We're starting to do a little bit more with the color by the looks of it. It's just, and everything is kind of zooming in on Battalion. And this is one of the better drawings of Battalion. In terms of hyping your product up and getting people to want to buy it based off of the cover, I think this works. Alright, moving on to the bottom 5 of this list. Anyway, although that does give me an idea for a later list. But, coming in at number 6, we have Union number 1. Now, this is basically just an extrapolation of the Brigade entry, in which we have a super shiny cover with a decent composition. The difference is that Mark Texiera can fucking draw. So, you know, we get this extremely shiny cover and a competent piece of work. I mean, Union himself looks like a deranged interstellar pirate, but am I supposed to act like that's a bad thing? I don't think so. And really, what is the point of the cover? And the point of the cover is not to sell the book, in my opinion. It can do that, but that's not what it's for. What it's supposed to do is make you look over and be like, what the fuck? And pick it up. And then you flip through it. That makes you decide whether or not you want to buy the book. And if this thing does one thing, is to make you look over and go, what the fuck? So, yeah. Number 6, Union number 1. Coming in at number 5, we have Super Patriot number 3. I love the look of the Super Patriot series, and it's one I want to get to eventually. Because Dave Johnson's style is so weird, and so different from everything else at Image. I gotta try not to open it, because we're not doing that right now. We're not doing the revisit. But, for the 3rd issue in a series, I haven't read this just yet. I don't think I read it back in the day either. So I'm not sure what happens in it. I mean, you gotta think lowest point, and this is a lowest point kind of cover, with a shredded up Super Patriot amongst a bunch of bodies in a wreckage. And it looks like he's been beat to shit, but he's ready to go another round. Like, that's what you want from your cover. And I briefly considered the image from Super Patriot number 1. Also, very good image. Like, really good, with the Dutch angle, with the nice dramatic lighting, action shot, all that stuff. Super Patriot's nice and huge. The only thing is, I mean, this just looks like a panel. You know, like an awesome panel. But it doesn't look like a cover specifically to me. That looks fucking wild. Okay, honorable mention number 2. We have Savage Dragon number 2. And it's a good composition. You know what's going on exactly from the cover. There's only some problems with it in that there's way too much fucking green. Although that is also a good indication of what's going on in the comic. But, like, everybody kind of, you know, jumping in on Dragon. So he is kind of the focal point. But, I mean, when you got 4 guys who all have equal importance from the other book, I think that's kind of inevitable. But, no, good action shot. And again, you know, you see this, how do you not pick this up? Coming in at number 4, we have Shadowhawk number 4. Now, this gets a bit of an edge in that it's another Eric Larson cover, and Eric Larson knows a bit more about composition and just making things more interesting than most of the guys at Image, to be honest. You know, we got our crazy fucking 3-point perspective shit going on. Like, I cannot imagine drawing that. That looks like hell. You know what's going on in the issue, because, you know, it's Savage Dragon versus Shadowhawk. And it's just a great looking cover. You get your figures center of the page. Decent color scheme. You know, they stand out nicely from the background. Everything is great. That's if you want to hype up, you know, here's a crossover you don't want to miss. I think this was a good way to do it. Coming in at number 3, we have Wildcats Trilogy number 1. Now, again, I briefly considered Wildcats Trilogy number 3 instead. I think this is actually a stronger composition in terms of just like using as a poster, that kind of thing. This is a great image. And, you know, you can definitely lure in some people with the carnage being done to Spartan here, just all the action going on, all that kind of stuff. This just, I think, is a more, I don't know, it's just seems like a bit of a better composition. Not that I can really tell what a good composition is that well. And it also, of course, has the added benefit of the shiny cover. And a kind of shiny cover, like I said in the revisit, that I haven't seen too much of. Got that weird texture. But, yeah, no, I love me a good shiny cover. Honorable mention, number 3 of 3, Trencher number 1. I don't even know if you can tell what the fuck is going on there. But this tells you everything I suppose you need to know. It's gonna be a fucking mess. It might be kind of cool from time to time. It might be extremely cool from time to time, actually. And just, it's gonna have this weird-ass fucking style, and there's gonna be so much going on that you will not be able to understand what is happening. And all this shit with the smoke circling, the gunfire, the... You get the little sign on the gun going, yo. You get his little button here going, spunk, apparently. You get him standing amongst just a pile of shells. Yeah, no, this is, it's a pretty good cover in terms of reeling people in, and it's also weird as balls. So, yeah, takes the number 1 honorary mention spot. Coming in at number 2, Darker Image number 1. That's just badass. You know, I mean, the title helped, certainly. The idea of having an even darker image than we were used to, that was titillating. But the composition here, all super triangular and stuff. You get Again, Blood Wolf looking as good as he ever did. Get this nice element with the circle here. Everything just kind of, it's a really nice composition. And everybody looks kind of awesome. You even get Deathblow melting into the shadows, as he kind of does in his comic. No, in terms of, yeah. When you saw this on the shelf, you had to pick this one up. It looked incredible. And the #1 Best Image Comics cover of 1993, Deathmate Prologue. Now, is this cheating because it's not entirely Image? I say no, because mostly because it's a Jim Lee cover. But it is an Image publication. It did come out in 1993. We do have Image characters in it. And this thing, I mean, this propelled hundreds of thousands of sales. Perhaps 1 million sales. 1.2 million sales. Which puts it just behind Darker Image at number 30th of the 90s. So, yeah, no, when we saw this, I think there was no chance you weren't getting hyped. You get to see these Valiant characters who seemed cool, if only they could be drawn by somebody who could draw cool. Here we go. Jim Lee's going to take a crack at them. You get a pretty good composition, and I think everybody wanted to copy this kind of thing here, where, you know, you get your guys, like, you know, just vertical action pose kind of thing, or, you know, vertical section pose in this case, and draw your heads around it, and make sure you draw your, at least a couple of the heads, extremely shadowed. Some look concerned, some look angry. But everyone is involved in this crisis. I'm sure I copied elements of this cover over and over again. And there's probably still a couple that I use out of this. But I mean, this cover was the poster that sold Deathmate. And Deathmate was the event of 1993. So, this gets my vote. Best cover, 1993. Hey, Jim Lee won something on the Blood Force channel. Way to go, Jim. It's nice to see you actually win something for once. I know it's been a rough time for you lately, but hopefully this will cheer you up a bit. Okay, so that is my list of the top 10 covers by Image Comics in 1993. Let me know if you disagreed with anything on my list. If you did agree, or if you have other suggestions, please feel free to comment below. If you like this video, please hit like, hit subscribe, hit the notifications. Go follow me on Twitter if that's still up and running. Again, more importantly, go over to my Patreon and subscribe. That's where all of these videos go before they go up on the YouTube channel, usually a week or two in advance. That's also where all the Blood Force pages go. Ta-da! As well as any process stuff and any Patreon exclusives. So it's well worth checking out. But thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.